All right. We are going to bring in CJ Moore of The Athletic to talk through his top 25 college basketball coaches of the 2000s and all of the controversy that UConn fans have with this list. Please don't hate on my Hinkle Fieldhouse shirt and repping the Butler guys. We will talk, and I'm probably going to get shit for that too. But guess what? You're on the Hoops Cat Pod. Let's get after it.
Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Yeah. UConn, baby. Home of the champions. Let's go.
All right. Here he is, CJ Moore of The Athletic. Let's unmute your mic. I'm not even going to do any fancy intros. People know who you are. If you are a first-time listener to the pod, go check us out at bigenergymediapods.com. Check out some merch on bigeastenergy.com. All right, CJ, you see it on the bottom line. Explain yourself, sir.
Yeah, it's been a couple days here. Obviously, the UConn fans have taken exception with my list, and it's relatively simple. Like, I hate ranking things. First of all, let me just say that. Like, I'd rather just focus on writing stories that people can read and take them however they want. And, I enjoy giving people information, but the ranking things I've always hated, but that's a side note. The biggest thing I tried to do was, I think great college basketball coaches consistently win at a high level every single season.
Okay.
And that's kind of how I judged them here, as far as like who consistently wins at a high level the most. And so I'm looking at a spreadsheet in front of me. I've got national titles, obviously very important, and where probably UConn fans would take exception, because Calhoun has won 2, and Hurley has won 2 as well, and there are coaches in front of them who have won less. I also have Final Fours, conference titles, conference tourney titles, NCAA appearances, wins, and average wins per year. And I also have like a little, and I didn't put this in the year in the actual story, but I have in my document like how many tournaments did they miss during their time, and we're only looking at the 2000-2001 season on, so the last 25 seasons. That was the task I was given, and what I set out to do. So where Calhoun is maybe falls short of some of the guys in front of him is that, over those, let's see, he coached 12 seasons in the 2000s, and he missed 3 NCAA tournaments. He did win 3 conference titles and won 3 conference tourney titles. But, the guys in front of him usually won a higher percentage of conference titles and showed up, made the NCAA tournament a higher percentage of times than he did. I think, let's see here, everybody but Tony Bennett maybe won a average more wins per year. He'd be tied with Jay Wright. I just have a 1/10 of a decimal point going out here.
Sure.
It might differ if you go out a few more decimal points, but so that's kind of where I come from. And let me say that I feel like I feel pretty good about the top 5 in however order you want to put them: Bill Self, Roy Williams, Coach K, Jay Wright, Rick Pitino. Like, to me, they're almost a tier by themselves. And then underneath that, the Billy Donovan, Mark Few, John Calipari, Tom Izzo, Calvin Sampson, Brad Stevens, Tony Bennett, Jim Calhoun tier. To me, you could mix those guys up in multiple different ways and justify it in, however you want to justify it. Where I gave guys like Tony Bennett, Brad Stevens, Kelvin Sampson, and Mark Few some extra credit was winning at places that are really, really hard to win. And I realized that UConn once upon a time was a really, really hard place to win. And Jim Calhoun totally changed that. But by the time 2000, 2001 came around, it was a power, right? Like
Sure.
the program was a powerhouse at that point. And I think I replied, I mostly don't reply to Twitter stuff if especially if it comes at you with like, you're the stupidest person ever.
You're the worst. You're the worst.
Like you should quit your job, or somebody
Yeah.
commented on my hairline.
All the time.
I have all my hair, so I don't know that one surprised me. I didn't see that one coming. But yeah, so that's kind of it's really the thing that mattered to me the most was the consistency, and he has a few years in there that were some down years. I know I got a few people saying, hey, like not only did he win the 2 titles, but he helped build the team that won the third one. Like, okay, like that's a decent argument, but that wasn't something that was under consideration. So let's
Yeah, no, look,
your issue. Go for
no,
it.
I'm honestly going to. I didn't do a bunch of these, but I have one screenshot that I'm going to display, and it's from my buddy Aaron Torres, who works at Fox Sports, and he's a UConn alum. So I mean, he comes on our show, and so we understand that it's biased. However, the point he makes in this tweet, and I'm going to pull it up here in a second. I'm just getting to this PDF. Is pretty. It's not just about UConn, because we're talking about the 2000s, right? And maybe you didn't put this into your consideration. I'm going to read it because it's small for the audience. This list confirms what I've said for years. Jim Calhoun is the most criminally underrated coach in sports history. Since 2000, Calhoun won 2 natties, made 3 Final Fours, and led a D3 school to a 26-3 record 2 years after they started admitting men, and he's number 13. And so that was the emoji is the hands over the face, right?
Yeah.
I honestly didn't even consider the St. Joe's stuff until I read that tweet. And I texted with Aaron. He was like, yeah, I mean, like that's one of the first things he thought about. And did you think about any of that when it came to Calhoun? Because it surprised any of us who follow the sport of college basketball or cover it that he did come out of retirement to do this. And no surprise, he won at a high level there. That's crazy to me that he went in his twilight years, won 26 games at the D3 level at a small school. But my biggest issue is the weighted factor. Like, and you're right. Like if you look at the top 5 in your list, you can move those guys around any way you want, right? But I have an issue with, in particular, 2 guys, and I'm literally wearing a shirt of one of them, the Brad Stevens and Mark Few. And I know it's hard to win in some of these places, but it's also, once you get it rolling, like they had it rolling, it's not as daunting as winning in the Big East or winning in the ACC or the Big Ten. So as much as people give Tom Izzo shit, right? As much as people give Tom Izzo shit for only winning 1 national title, I understand why he's in your top 10. I understand why Kelvin Sampson's there, even Tony Bennett. But I have an issue with a few of these guys because it's like Mark Few is a great coach, but to put him ahead of Calhoun or Brad Stevens, for that matter, who lost to Jim Calhoun in a national title game, those kind of blew my mind.
The fact that Brad Stevens took a team that was in the Horizon League to back-to-back national championship games, to me, is like one of the most amazing accomplishments in this era of college basketball. So did I maybe like overinflate that compared to how some would do it? Maybe. But like, imagine a Horizon team now going to the national championship game. I mean, like, and the dude did it 2 years in a row. And won his league, I believe, 4 out of the 6 years he was. Double check my math here, but yeah, let's see. Yeah, 4 conference titles in 6 years. Now, Butler was the best program when he took it over. Butler was the best program in that league. So, so that's worth saying. But just to go on to make 2 championship games at that school when it's not the Butler we know now that is in the Big East, right? Like that was in the Horizon League. So I kind of had a hard time, like, where do you put Brad Stevens on this list? But like I said, to me, that's maybe the most impressive thing that's happened in the 2000s is that dude taking that school to back-to-back national title games. With Mark Few, it's always complicated when you argue anything Gonzaga with people because they just think, oh, they're the best team in that league and they make the tournament every year because of that, yada, yada, yada. But, like, Gonzaga was a nothing program until the late 90s. And Munson, he helped, and he was an assistant then. You know, they got it going. But to be able to sustain it and become like, you know, I know UConn fans will say, hey, we're a blue blood, right? And I'm not going to disagree with them, the amount of success they've had. And Jim Calhoun, the number one reason they are a blue blood is because of Jim Calhoun. So this isn't like necessarily like I don't respect Jim Calhoun, I don't respect UConn. It's more of, okay, here was a data set, and here's the way I looked at it, and here's how I placed them. All 25 coaches are terrific college basketball coaches. And, like, you know, if you're on a list of the best 25 coaches of 25 years, like that's you're a really damn good basketball coach. Trying to figure out how do you put those in order, like it's a, you know, however you want to you know, look at the data and interpret it your way. But I think to say like this is another way people are just disrespecting UConn as a brand, and I've like fallen into this like media narrative that doesn't respect UConn is a real leap. This is just one person looking at a data set and trying to determine, okay, here's how I'm going to rank these guys. And obviously I have set up a firestorm with my interpretations.
Well, I think the thing that, and I get that, man. Like, I know you're a good guy. Like, I asked around about you, and I've gotten, you know, good feedback from other fellow journalists that know that you know basketball and that are not, you know, this is, you know, I was excited to come on and talk to you about this because to me, but the one thing I will tell you about these lists that I'm with you on this. They're not the easiest thing to do. I didn't put it on paper. But I did do a show about how we weighted, how we should weight national championships, Final Fours, Sweet 16s by era. So you did 2000s to the last 25 years, right? Have you considered any of that? Like the difficulty level, like for example, and I'm going to give your boy Bill Self, who you have ranked number 1, and you know some people will have issue with that too, right? Like everything else. I gave Kansas a lot of credit for they've won in this kind of NIL era. They're one of the only teams, like they won in 22, and then obviously UConn won the last couple. Like so, I broke it into eras of NIL era, pre NIL, even pre the field of 64, and like weighting those national championships, those Sweet 16s based off of that. And so UConn doesn't typically get a lot of respect nationally for what they've done since 99. And that partly plays into why you got so much negative press on this from UConn fans, whether it's the Dan Hurley stuff or Jim Calhoun, is that most UConn fans have lived through all 6 of these national championships. You know, like I'm 44 years old. I've seen them all. Can't say that about Kentucky fans. Can't say that about Kansas fans, North Carolina, Duke, etc. Maybe Duke is the only other equal. So you understand like kind of the ethos of where this comes from?
I mean, as far as like journalists, like my fellow sports writers, guys that covered the college basketball, not respecting UConn, I don't think that's the case. But I do see where like UConn is different. So if you just want to take like, okay, who are the blue bloods in college basketball? Like Duke, North Carolina, Kansas, Kentucky, UConn, some people are going to push back at Indiana still being one of them, but
Sure.
probably has a history to justify it. And UCLA, let's take that grouping, and forgive me if I'm forgetting somebody. Villanova could be in that conversation as well. I think what's different about UConn with those other schools is the level of consistency, which kind of gets to this list.
Sure.
It has been more like this, where those other schools have been pretty steady. And maybe that's where UConn fans, I'm just kind of spitballing this idea as we go. Maybe that's where they take exception. Where okay, maybe we aren't as consistent as these other programs, but hey, when it matters, we come through pretty darn well. And they have, their NCAA tournament record is pretty freaking incredible. And
right.
What's different about a couple of their national championship titles than a lot of schools in, let's say, 2000 on, is they've had some super surprise years where they've 2 years.
2 in particular, yep.
2 particular. You could even say Hurley's first was a little bit of a surprise, even though that team early in the season, I think, was one of the, clearly one of the best teams in the country, took their little dip, but was back, in consideration at the end. But those 2 in particular are different than a lot of the other years. Like I used to, when I was at Bleacher Report, do a thing where it was like, okay, formula to win a national title. Here are some markers you look for each team based on their regular season, right? And based on their coach and what their coach has done. And the 11 and it's 11 and 14, right? My years all are like we're like the 2 that just like broke the system, right?
Right.
So maybe that's where it comes from. I mean, you're a Connecticut fan. You think that's, I don't know.
It's having watched them since like the early 80s, being an old guy. I think it comes from this, CJ. And I think you're from Kansas in particular. I don't remember exactly where you're from, like where you hail from. So I grew up. Okay, so I grew up in the center of Connecticut, right in the, like, literally you could put a pin in the middle of Connecticut, and that's where I grew up. And so it's this weird mixture of Yankee fans, Red Sox fans, Patriots, Giants, but everyone loves UConn. Like there's like, they all come together at the Church of UConn. Let's just put it that way, right? Yeah. And so I think part of it is because of the rise. Like it was incremental. Like, they just wanted to make the 8-9 game early, and then they end up winning the Big East in 89, 90, lose to Duke in the Elite Eight, and then it starts that upward trajectory from there. And so I think part of it is because if you've been around since the beginning, like I have, it's like you still have this underdog. Nobody wants us to be here mentality. We're the Yankee conference crashing into the Big East. And I think that's what it comes from. Like all of these fans and I love them, they have a complex. It's the truth. Like there's a complex behind like that underdog aspect. Yeah. But I think also there's the factual part of it, which is what Jim Calhoun built at UConn. And I know we're just talking about 2000s, but what he built is so, like, if you've been to stores, what it is.
I realize.
Yeah. But if you've been there before it became like a city, like a mini city in this part of Connecticut that no one really goes to, it's incredible. Like I can't even stress it enough to casual college basketball fans. Like Lexington, Kentucky is Hollywood, California compared to stores. Like just based off of like what, the history of it. And so to win at UConn, even though that he made them a power, and to sustain it even with the dips and the roller coaster, is I think what people are most frustrated about with these kind of lists. Yeah. Does that make sense?
No, it does. And it all comes down to like how you interpret a list like this, and how you and like I said, what I and you can make exceptions, right? It's one person doing it, but the way I did it was just looking at it from, here's the data set, here's what I prioritize the most when I'm ranking out these teams. And it wasn't like, let's see how I can screw over the two UConn coaches.
Yes.
Right?
Listen,
let's remember, there are only two schools, I believe, and I haven't thought about that, but there are only two schools that have two coaches on the list: Kansas and UConn. So, like, hey, that's something to be proud of. It's just
that's fair. Okay, you're redeeming yourself a little bit
if
here.
I had put those two in the top 10, then I'm probably not hearing from UConn fans at all. And is there?
You are. I guarantee you, if you didn't put one of these guys you're hearing from them.
Still be hearing.
I can guarantee you that it may not be as aggressive or making fun of the hairline that it clearly isn't an issue. But because it looks like you can grow hair if you want. I cannot.
It's all here. It's all
there
here.
it is.
I just thought that one was funny. I was like,
is that the best comment? Like, do you have is that your favorite? Like, I'm before I let you go, I have to get
somebody said I should be CJ Moore Poops.
CJ Moore Poops on Twitter
is my Twitter. You should be CJ Moore Poops. I thought, hey, everybody poops, so yeah, whatever.
I love that. Well, CJ, I know you have to run. As an aside, I'm going to send you my data set of what I put together. It's obviously you're going to look at it and go, well, this guy clearly is a UConn guy. But I really do feel like, because I got into this argument with a Kentucky fan, not like argument, just like literally a conversation about like, hey, that most of the titles that Kentucky won was like pre-World War II, like the majority of their titles. So like, it's the same thing with baseball. I'm a Yankee fan and a Giants fan because I grew up in that area. I don't really give a shit that they've won 27 national or World Series. I've seen 5. You know what I mean? So like, to me, it's like just looking at it from that perspective is I think that's more why UConn fans gave you so much hate.
And 85 on is its own.
Yeah.
And really
totally agree.
If I feel like this was a 25 for 25 thing that was thrown on my plate like a month ago maybe or something.
Sure.
But I feel like if you really want to like take eras, it would probably be an 85 on. Let's rank these coaches, because Wooden is like so hard to like. How do you compare Wooden with current guys? And I put this in some, I reply, one of the people that came at me in a non too aggressive way, like I replied that, hey, like if this were 90s on, I'd probably have Calhoun in the top 5 because of, again, I would give a little bit more credit for like I did for Stevens, Sampson, those types of like building something out of nothing, because it was really the late 80s into the 90s that like this rise came. Then he's got a 3rd national title. That's a pretty special grouping. Because like we take 85 on, who are the coaches that have that? It's K.
Yep.
It's K, it's Roy, and it's Calhoun, and that's it, right?
Yep.
So that's like a new special category. So
does Roy have 3?
Yeah. Roy has 3. 05, and then what is this? I used to be able to do these like off the top of my head, but I'm getting too old.
Me too.
And then 17, is that, did they win?
09 and 17.
Yeah,
I
looked it up. Yeah. So yeah, Roy's and man, I grew up in Kansas, and Roy went for years without winning one. But was, Roy's probably in that grouping, right? If you take 85 on, it's like K, Roy, Calhoun, Self might be in there for all the crazy stuff he's done in all the Big 12 championships and winning 2, and then Patino, and that's probably it. Like just blowing out the top. That's probably your top 5. So anyway, I mean, maybe it doesn't help me in any way. I've already dug myself the hole, but I do think if you throw the 90s in there, like, and basically you throw post 85 in there, I'd look at them a little differently and look at the data set a little differently. So that's my thing. But hey, this is just a stupid thing we can argue about in the summer. I have a lot more fun talking about the games, but it is what makes college basketball and why I love college basketball is the passion behind it. And so this is while there are things I hate about like Twitter because it can bring out internet tough guys and people just say the worst crap to each other. I do love that things like this bring out the passion in people for college basketball. And I'm somebody that like you probably, I grew up in Kansas City, close to the University of Kansas, loving all of college basketball, right? Like,
sure.
I've watched all of these UConn teams. It's not like I've never watched UConn basketball before. So that's my story. I'll stick to it. But
you're gonna stick to it.
Yeah.
So before I let you go, I probably could reach out to him, but you have to. Maybe we can get your boy Brennan Marks on the show because he just put out his top 25 best college basketball teams of 2000, and I think he has UConn number 1 on there. One of those teams. I haven't read it yet, so I will.
I believe
it's the Duke team actually.
I don't think he does have UConn number 1.
No, he does not.
We have a poll up, I think, to vote on what the best team is, and the 24 UConn team, I believe, is leading that poll. And I'm
not surprised.
I'm going to guess that I maybe drove a few more UConn fans.
I think you might have.
So they hate clicked it and then love clicked that one, right? So hey. I do know he has 24 UConn. I think he has them pretty high because I looked at his list before he published it. I think he's got them like maybe 4 or something like that. I could be wrong.
Well, I appreciate you jumping on the show, and I'm sorry we went over it for a few minutes, but go have a good rest of your day. You have a great hairline. You're a good writer. I have no illusions that you were trying to screw over UConn fans. I did want to have you on the show though, so I appreciate you, CJ. And
thanks for having me.
This has been another episode of the Hoopscat Pod. We'll see you next time.
Let's get it.